Okay, hello year 7. Welcome back. It's Computing with Mr. Ali. Couple announcements. Firstly, I hope we have the audio set up so that it is syncing with the video. Apologies if it isn't. Technology can be interesting. Secondly, ostensibly, we will be moving to live lessons next week. So I will be teaching you, I believe, around midday on Tuesdays. I'll check that and confirm. Look on Show My Homework, look in your email, and look for texts to your parents regarding this. We need some full participation. Now, I will be teaching the full cohort, 4 classes of Year 8 simultaneously on MS Teams. So, you'll be turning in homework, quizzes, worksheets, etc., but they will be submitted via the OneDrive and via Teams, possibly via Show My Homework, but the computing department will be marking and assessing those across the whole department. We'll be sharing the load on that. So, a bit more update about that next week. I'm going to teach you live. In the meantime, today we have a couple things. We have a nice lesson that I normally teach my Year 9s. I'm going to strip it down a bit, but it's on integers and data operators in Python. So, without further ado, let's go to our REPL and look at what we have today. So in the REPL, we see here we have a data entry program, and the idea is that you're catering or you have a dinner party or whatever, and it's a simple program. The thing about these programs is they are extensible. By the way, ostensibly is our Tier 2 word that we use today. You'll see that in the scrolling screen below my beautiful face and my lovely beard that apparently looks like George Clooney. Right, I'm going to edit that out. So, ostensibly is our Tier 2 keyword we have for today. It means seemingly or apparently or on the face of. So ostensibly, we'll be going to live lessons next week. So our program today is a data entry program. It assumes that you're doing catering, but all of these programs are extensible. In other words, they can be used for this, or they can be used for other purposes, or they can be expanded and improved upon and made bigger and more sophisticated for many, many, many uses. They aren't limited to what it does here on the screen. But in the meantime, what we have here is we have a guests variable, and we're going to input guest. Please enter the number of guests present. Then we're going to take the guest variable and we're going to convert it. It's a numeral. We're going to convert that to be an integer. So that is a whole number data type in Python. Then we're going to set another variable called list, and this is the list of people who will be at the dinner party. So we're going to have the guests plus 1. So you've heard of your plus 1. In this case, this is for my sake. Add yourself to the list because you always forget to in it. So at the end of that, we're going to print the list. So if we have 16 guests, that should add the plus 1. In other words, myself, because I'll always forget to add myself for the catering, so we know how many people to cater for. If I run the program, we see, say I've got 16 guests, and the output, the variable list, is the guest plus 1 equals 17. Woohoo! So we've got an accurate figure of the number of guests to add to our program. Now, what we want to do now is to comment out the initial bit and show you how we can do the exact same thing much more efficiently. I'm going to have some productivity hacks here. So if I comment those out, I have my commented out. What's the purpose of comments? So up here, create a list, calculate from guest, or do all this in less code with better UX. So what comments are for are to tell you what a specific line of code or a function or a chunk of code or what this program does. And that's important because you may not always be there to maintain the code. You may create the code and then days, weeks, months, years later come back to it and say, now, what was it for? Can't remember. Why did I do this? Oh yeah, I got comments there. Excellent. That reminds me when it was there. So in this case, we're going to do the exact same thing we did up here, except we're going to do it with 25% less code. Superb. More efficient. And the way we're going to do that is that our guest variable is going to go in as an integer from the get-go. So yeah, one thing to remember about Python is that input is always entered as a string, is always accepted as a string, unless it's either explicitly entered in this way, converted to be an integer or a float, etc., or if it's typecast secondarily, so it's brought in as a string and then converted as above to be an integer. So let's run the program and see what we get. Okay, please remember guest president, 16, and it gives us 17. Same as above, but with 25% less code. That's code efficiency, and that's a feature. Now, one feature of code is that it can do work for you. It can make your life easier. And an easy way to demonstrate that is with mathematical formulas. So an example of that, this is an easy one, is the area of a triangle. And we know the area of a triangle is the base times the height divided by 2. So a square, or a rectangle, would be the base times the height. As a triangle is half of that, we divide it by 2, got the area. So let's try that. We get into the base, that would be, say, 10 inches. We get into the height, say it's 5 inches. And that's 50 inches divided by 2 is 25. Excellent. So, as I said before, code can make your life easier, and this is one, like I said, the volume of a cone is one that's really difficult for me to remember, but here are some functions that I wrote that could be embedded into any other program. You can see here the def, that means it's defining a function, but all I wanted to say is that it gets the radius, it gets the height, and calculates the volume. It pulls in pi times the radius squared times the height divided by 3. Let's run it. Let's say we've got a radius of 15 and we got a height of 10, and it calculates the volume of the cone as 2355. Yeehaw. But again, that's just an example of a way to calculate things for you that you maybe can't remember the formulas, you don't have it to hand, but if you ran share values or you're an architect and you need to do some calculations on volumes, etc., for polygons or for really interesting angles, etc., Python is a good way to keep some functions around to be able to calculate those at the drop of a hat, whenever you. Okay, so coming back here to the year 8 integers and operators, as you can see up here, I would like you to go away, take my triangle code, and create a different mathematical formula, one that you find difficult to remember, one that you find interesting, or something like that. So you have a first variable, a second variable, and then it calculates another variable by a mathematical formula. Share that with me at Mr. Alley on REPL-IT. Look at the screen there. It gives you the address, and share that with me. Love to see it, and I hope to see you soon. Many thanks. Bye-bye.